Hola chicos y chicas. Today we're going to talk about irregular yo form verbs. So let's get to it. Some verbs are irregular in the present tense in the yo form only. It's the only form that they're irregular in. Everything else is totally normal. These verbs are conjugated regularly for every other subject. So you can fill in your notes as we go along. Some of the verbs that have irregular yo forms include these first four here. We're going to kind of put things in groups. So here's the first four. Hacer means to do or to make. There's two definitions for this one, to do or to make. Poner means to put. We've seen this one already. It can also mean to place. It's kind of the same definition, but two ways to say it. Traer means to bring. And salir means to leave or to go out. Which again, those are similar, but it's translating those that it's good to know both of those definitions. So I want you to take a second, hit pause, and go down and fill in color-coded. Test yourself, do you remember those definitions? So hit pause and do that. Okay, so hacer means to do, to make. Poner means to put, to place. Traer means to bring. And then we'll flip over to salir in just a moment. So let me give you the yo forms, and then I'm going to let you fill in the rest of the forms. So the yo form of hacer, you would think it would be H-A-C-O, right? You drop your ER, that's your base. However, the yo form is irregular. It is hago. It has a G. Poner, the yo form is pongo. Again, there's a G that gets put in there. If you drop the ER, you would think it'd be pono, but that G gets put in there. Traer, the yo form is traigo. So you would think it would just be trago, but there's an I and a G that gets put in there for that one. To all of your verbs, and hit pause and fill in all of the forms now. All of the rest of your other forms, tú, usted, él, ella, nosotros, ustedes, and ellos and ellas, are totally normal. So hit pause, fill those in, and then you can check them with my forms. Okay, so hopefully you took a pause there, and now you can come back and check what I've done on my forms. So for hacer, to do or to make, tú haces, usted hace, él, ella hace, nosotros hacemos, ustedes, ellos, and ellas hacen. Totally normal for an ER verb. They have E's in all the endings. Poner is also an ER verb. So we're going to have totally normal endings. You can take a look at them there and double check yours. And traer is also an ER verb. Now traer kind of can throw people off sometimes because of the two vowels, but you just drop the ER ending and you put your regular ER endings on there. Okay? So you can take a look at those. I will post these on eBackpack as well if it's going too fast. Of course, you can always rewind and pause. Let's go and look at salir. Salir, the yo form is salgo. So a G gets put in there. So let's talk about what you can observe about the yo forms of this group of verbs. When you look at those as a group, you'll notice that they all get a G added in. They all have a G added in. They can sometimes be called the go verbs. They're the go verbs because they all end in the word go. Are there any other verbs that we already know that might fit into this group? If you think about some verbs that you know that have a irregular yo form, you might be thinking of tener. Tener, remember what's the yo form? It's yo tengo. So it kind of fits into this category. The reason why we didn't learn it along with these is because all the forms are somewhat irregular. It's not just the yo form. Okay, so I want you to go back. Now here's salir. Sales, sale, sale, salimos, salen. So what I want to point out about salir is it is an IR verb. So make sure in the nosotros form, that's the only one that's different from an ER verb. So make sure that you have the IR ending in the nosotros form. Okay, so that's the go verbs. So there's a couple other irregular form verbs that we're going to be learning, and those are conocer, saber, ver, and dar. Conocer means to know, and saber means to know. Okay, what? They both mean to know. Well, you know, just like in English, Spanish has words that mean more than one thing. So conocer means to know people. It can also mean to meet people. Okay? Saber means to know how to do something, or it can mean to know facts or information. So they're just different types of knowing. So you use them in different contexts. Depends on if you're knowing facts or information, or knowing how to do something, or if you're knowing people. Okay? Ver means to see, and dar means to give. And their yo forms are just different they're not go verbs, so I'm going to give you those. So take a second and use the color coding to quiz yourself on the definitions. So hit pause and fill in the definitions using the Spanish words for each grid, and then I'll come back with you after you've hit pause. Okay, so you've got your definitions filled in. Conocer. Let me give you the yo form of conocer. It is yo conozco. So there's a Z added in this one. C-O-N-O-Z-C-O. That is a Z there. And of course the rest of the forms are totally normal. Saber. Okay, so here's your forms of conocer. You can double check those. You can always hit pause if you don't have enough time to look at them. I'm going to move on to the other forms here. Saber. The yo form of saber is say. It becomes very short. Say. S-E with an accent. And it is important to put the accent on this one. Say without an accent can mean a lot of different things. So the question is, how would I say I don't know if you don't know the answer to a question? When you want to use the word don't, in Spanish, we don't have a helper verb. We just have the word no. So we just want to put the word no in front of the word say. No sé. So whenever you need to answer me, I don't know, you can now say, no sé. It's a very useful answer to have. Ver means to see. The yo form is veo. So for the yo form, instead of dropping the whole ER, that E sticks in there for some reason. The yo form of dar is doy. So we've seen other yo forms that end in OY, like soy and voy. Now we have doy. Okay, so hit pause, and I want you to fill in the rest of your forms of these verbs. Again, all of the other forms are regular. So if it's an AR verb, ER verb, just fill in the regular forms of those. Hit pause and fill them in. Here's your forms of saber. There's regular ER verbs, so they should look like a regular ER endings. Here's your forms of ver. The thing that it can get weird looking with ver is your base is only the one letter. So all your endings are just tacked onto the one V. So they are very short. And the same with dar. But there are AR endings in dar, so make sure you use A's, das, da, damos, and dan. Okay, let's talk about the use of these verbs. Now that you know how to conjugate them, how are you going to use them? Well, hacer is used to talk about what you do or make. That's the definition. So let's use it in a sentence. Juan makes a salad for lunch. Well, your subject is Juan. We want to conjugate this ER verb. Here's your base. The ER ending for an LA form. Juan is L, that's an E. A salad is una ensalada. Have you guys noticed that the word salad is an ensalada? That's a pretty easy way to remember that one. And of course for lunch is para almuerzo. Okay? Now, if I tell you that the word for homework is tarea, I want you to hit pause, and I want you to try to do letter D on your own. Okay? So hopefully you tried to do that on your own. The word for I, of course, is yo. Am doing, that's going to be a package that goes together just in the conjugation. We're not going to have a separate word for am. So we're going to put that all together in their regular yo form, hago. The possessive word for our is going to be nuestra here. And the reason why it's an A is because tarea is feminine. Nuestra tarea. Yo hago nuestra tarea. Okay? So that's some ways that you can use hacer. You can use it for do or make. Salir. Let's talk about salir. The verb salir is usually followed by the preposition de when it means to leave from a place, because de can mean from. It, of course, can mean of as well, but we're going to use it as the word from when we're talking about leaving. Now, we don't really use this in English. Let's look at letter A. They leave the school. You'll notice right here is where the from would be, but we don't have to have it in English. But in Spanish, grammatically speaking, it's really more correct to have it there. So we're going to we have to remember to put that de in, even though you don't see it in English, okay? So they is ellos. We have the base, sal. Now, the eos ending of an IR verb is an EN. We want to put our de, And then school is la escuela. Salir can also mean to go out, right? In the sense of going out to eat, going out with friends, going out to a party, that type of thing. So let's look at this next sentence. We like to go out with friends on Fridays. Okay, so there's a couple things we want to look at. First, our subject. I'm going to walk through this one with you too. Our subject is we, but our verb is like. So first of all, let's think about what verb is like. That's gustar. When I use gustar, I can't use nosotros simply by itself. We want to use nos, right? Nos gusta. Now, if I want to use nosotros, I can use it, but I have to put an a in front of it, right? Nosotros. So if you want to use it with an a in front of it. A nosotros, nos gusta. And then this whole phrase, to go out, right? This is what I just gave you in point B. Salir can also mean to go out. So that's one word in Spanish. Nos gusta salir. To go out is salir. With friends, with is con. Friends are amigos. On Fridays are los lunes. Okay? So that's some ways you can use salir. Saber before an infinitive. Saber, you remember, means to know. Saber before an infinitive means to know how. That extra word just gets built in. So if we're going to say we know how, we is nosotros. Only use nos if it's with gusta. Otherwise, you're going to use nosotros. So know how is still just saber, right? Nosotros, but we're going to have to conjugate it. Sabemos. To cook, that's your food vocab. Cocinar. Fish is pescado. Okay? Saber with a noun means to know a fact. So hit pause, and I want you to see if you can do the best you can with part A there. Use your vocab list that you just filled out. Okay, hopefully you paused because there's a lot in this one. So yo sé, that's I know. Yo sé, that is que. The fork is el tenedor. Goes, that's the verb va. Va. And then to the left, a la izquierda of the plate is del plato. De and el become one word when you have a masculine noun. Okay, let's talk about conocer. Conocer means to know or to meet when it's used with a person. It is followed by what is called a personal a when used with people. Forgive my typos there. I've made some corrections. I meet new people every day. To say I meet new people every day, subject is yo. Yo form is conozco. Then that's where you need your personal a. Yo conozco a. And then we switch nouns and adjectives in Spanish, right? So you'll use personas nuevas. And then we got to reach back to remember what's every day. Todos los días. Okay? All right. It can also be used to express knowledge of a subject area or geographic area. Like, I really know graphic novels well. Or I know about Kokomo. And we're not really going to worry about that, but I just wanted to mention it to you. And then we also are going to talk about the verb venir, but we're going to save that till later. So we're going to stop right there. Thanks for hanging in there for all these notes, guys. You have the rest of your packet to work on. Feel free to ask me any questions during the class.